Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestling World Talks with Dan and Mac.
Because I'm coughing into the microphone. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this Halloween week. We are recording actually on Halloween Eve because I guess both of us are thinking to ourselves, maybe we'll go out trick-or-treating tomorrow. In our 40s. Well, might as well just do it. Fuck it.
No, I'm going to be fucking wasted tomorrow. And actually, while we're on the topic of that, I forgot. There's that beer. Okay.
Ka-ching. I'm your host, Dale Burke, and I'm, of course, joined by my ever-present co-host and hetero life mate, Mac. Thanks again for being on the program and also being able to work around the schedule of All Hallows Eve and being like, oh, yeah, let's do it the day before. So that way, if we want to cause some debauchery tomorrow night, we can. Even though, again, we're in our 40s, so it's not like we can tear it up like we used to 20 years ago, or for that matter, even being able to be in the position or even go out trick-or-treating. It's like, so what do we do?
Because I'm not booked.
Exactly. Halloween, we're not booked. Especially the fact, too, that it's on a Thursday and not a weekend. That's a real pain in the ass. My significant other and I, Steph, were talking about it earlier tonight about how the last Saturday of October should be Halloween. Always the last Saturday. So it's not October 31st and things of that nature. Even though the day sounds cool and, Michael Myers would be a little pissed because he's, that's kind of his day of reckoning in more ways than one. And it's kind of like how Michael Myers has almost just become this. It's like he is now in the conversation of the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus. It's gotten to that point, folks. Just because of the fact that outside my, I should post this on our social media, but currently I have a 5-foot blow up of Michael Myers outside my house. And it's not one where he's carrying a knife or anything. It's like this little cute, like my mom thinks it's cute. Like it's Michael Myers, like one of the most brutal killer monsters in the history of cinema, for that matter. But we have reached a point in society, and we have reached the point with his character that, again, and if you saw Halloween Kills, which a lot of us did, one of the most brutal horror films ever made as far as violence is concerned, all done by Michael Myers. Now, however, they sell Michael Myers kids' costumes with like the knife and that. It's like, what the fuck happened? Like, in this society now, concerning the fact that everybody is offended by everything, but they're accepting toddler and like elementary school kids dressed up as Michael Myers. They don't have a problem with that. What the hell? And it's not like the cheap masks with the little, like, you remember the little art makeup, mock-up things that we used to, like that? You remember with the little cheap masks? That's what we grew up with. Not like that anymore. This is full-fledged, like, oh, here's the mask, here's the jumpsuit, and here's your little knife. Oh, little Johnny's Michael Myers this year. What? All these movies are rated R. How? How is this success? What? I mean, well, it boggles the mind.
Think about it this way, too. Like, at the height of its popularity, we're talking like what? Late 70s, early 80s, if you think about it. I know they've made movies since, don't get me wrong, but that was like the height of that, I almost want to say culture, where it's Michael Myers and Freddy and Jason, and you have all these kids now. I don't even want to say how many years it's been, because I feel like we're aging ourselves yet again on this program.
But
again, it's just like we're well past the height of when these things were as popular as they were back then, obviously. I think you get what I'm saying with that.
Well, I think
like,
now
there are all these kids out there with those costumes.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that now the difference is between 30 and 40 years ago, when these things were, you could say they were more popular, but now they're more in your face because of something that has definitely kind of changed the game as far as this is concerned. Merchandising.
Boo ran.
It's, hey, we can make plates of Michael Myers and they'll sell. Watch it, Bradford Exchange, right? They're gonna have the entire series, like limited to 50,000 from the Bradford Exchange. Michael Myers 2. And it's just the plates, and it's just him with the bloody eyes. It's incredible to think of that this is where it has come down to, because of the fact of that these characters are portrayed in film and in cinema and television as well, and in any media, as these horrific, bloodthirsty monsters. And now we're just putting them in blow-ups. We're giving them funny signs. Let's just put a light on them. Let's just put a light on them. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the it clown. Like, it's a nice little cute. He's holding a balloon. He's holding a balloon, guys. It's just a fun clown.
I think that's a jack-o'-lantern, actually.
Like, good Lord. Well, I know, but you get what I'm saying. In the film, he holds a balloon.
Yeah, I got you.
But that's the interesting part about it. I guess, and it's funny again how I'm the king of transitions, because you can thank professional wrestling for all this. Because if it wasn't for the WWF coming in and saying, "Hey, we're going to trademark violence," we're just going to trademark it. We're going to trademark violence, and we're just going to make them superheroes, even though they're out there and bashing each other in the head with chairs, simulating false violence. And if you actually did in real life, it could kill you. And also that we're playing characters, even though 300 days a year, we're out completely causing debauchery, massive cocaine issues. And the majority of this roster is going to be dead before we're 50. That's kind of the brutalization and the reality of certain things. But you look at the portrayals that they are made of, and that's what everyone looks at and says, "Oh, hey, he's a hero. Let's put a costume of this guy." And the horror, it's just, I'm just trying to get over the fact that I remember wanting to go as Freddy in elementary school. I had the mask and my parents allowed it, which was surprising that they would let me go as Freddy, but they wouldn't let me actually watch the film. And my elementary school was like, "No, can't do it." And my Cub Scout troop was like, "No, can't do it." I had to go as Batman again. Mind you, I went to, when I was Batman the first year, I only had like the cowl and like t-shirts and that type of stuff. But the second year, because of, again, merchandising, I was somehow able to procure on sale, I think the cuffling sets, so I had so now it's like the costume had improved, even though that was not my full intention. The utility belt, I had the gun and all that stuff, which they were fine with. And I did win second that year, I think, for best costume for the costume contest. But they wouldn't let me go as Freddy. And that annoyed me. It was just like, but why? But why? Why is this a problem? And but back then, you kind of understood it now. But then again, it's like, and I work for a school system, so I don't know if tomorrow, if somehow it's going to trickle out that this child went as Michael Myers at either one of the elementary schools in the district. So that will be interesting to hear about tomorrow. But at the same time, it's like, can you really kind of can you really punish the parents? Can you really punish, I think, that and look down upon it, considering the fact of that if it's marketed to children and the parents buy it, can you really judge it? Like that's kind of the $1 million question that I have. Because I did kind of, when my mother was around, yes. Like we of course had to adhere to, I think I could watch PG-13 rated movies. They at least allowed me that. But rated R, not so much. Dad kind of changed the game. And my mom was working 3 to 11 back then. So that old man was on the weekends, Christ. Like as far as entertainment was concerned, it was just like, it was pretty much fair game. Especially if the Red Sox were on. Oh, Jesus.
God. Yeah.
If the Red Sox were on, you had freedom. You had absolute carte blanche to do whatever the hell you wanted for 3 hours. Like from that point, in the summer it was great because it was just like, well, he's done. I'm not going to see him for, and especially those were the Joe Morgan era years, which 88, 90 especially, they were in the ALCS.
I gotta just jump in here real quick because I think the only thing better than a Red Sox game for both our fathers was Sunday night football or just Sunday football period.
Oh boy, yeah,
because
yeah.
It was the entire day, and if our mothers were out, because I know we were both doing the same shit.
Yes.
We were just doing absolute fuck all if our moms were out and our dad was watching
was
football all
wonderful.
Sunday. Oh God, yeah.
We had absolute, but we could, and we didn't understand the game back then enough to be like really understand what was going on. Like I didn't get into football and sports until probably it was maybe 10 or 11. It took me a while. It needed to kind of, I was like, again, wrestling, I don't think I really started to absorb until probably I hit around, 9 or 10 too. Cause it took you a while to kind of be able to absorb that type of stuff. I mean, when Hogan won at WrestleMania 9, I didn't know the kind of power play that went on backstage.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We didn't know. We were oblivious to it because it was just like, oh, Hogan won again. All right, cool. Like, I didn't really get, so because that's the thing. Like 9 years old, I could look at it just like, all right, cool. But I could understand at 20, 25, or even 15 for that matter, of just being like, this prick. Do you know what he just did? Like, so we just look at it with complete reverence. And, yeah, but of course, growing up, I think as a child, with Halloween, different. I feel like that also, we really pushed it to the limit as far as trick-or-treating is concerned. Like, I went in multiple neighborhoods because family business, say multiple neighborhoods.
Yeah, I get it.
So it's like, hey, all right, one neighborhood, go another one. So it's, so, and so I went to my main neighborhood and then I would go to the other neighborhood and that would be all multi-families.
Oh, jeez.
So you're getting 3, sometimes 5, 6 in one building. The problem is you're going upstairs.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the problem. Like you're doing, like, yeah, you're getting the maximum effort. You're putting in the maximum amount, and because there were some really good years where I just remember you're coming in, and it's just like you're coming out of like heat. You're coming out of the bank, like, and you're just got bags of stuff you're coming in with, and you're just got this giant bowl, and you're just dumping the stuff out, and it just keeps coming. And there were some years like that. I remember, I think the year I went as The Undertaker, probably the biggest haul ever. I remember multiple sacks being filled and then just going home at one point, pouring out, then going to another neighborhood, pouring out. And it's just, you'd be out till you'd be pushing 9-10 o'clock. You'd be pushing 9-10. Even at, a young age back then, your parents, if they were cool enough, and especially my parents, because my mom has always been someone that enjoys walking like that, like still does it to this day, like hardcore, always measures her steps. So at that age, I could get away with, if I wanted to keep going, she'd be game. And there were a lot of parents that they just want to get fuck over with.
Oh yeah.
Get this done.
Of course.
And I don't know. I think if I was in that, I definitely think I'd be probably one of those dads that would just be like, "You want to go all night, kid? Go." I'm for it, because you're gonna get the tax at the end of the night. You got to think about that, because it's like, all right, kid, if you, for every 100 you get, I get at least 10 to 15%, because you got to pay the tax. Like, there is a tab, kid. You got to teach them young. You got to say they're putting in the effort. Yes. So it's like, you got to give them their haul. You got to give it to them. And this is to any parent, because, I've had nieces. I've gone out multiple times where I've had to walk with the kids. And it's just like, you tell them immediately at the time, when they get home, it's just like, okay, I'm going to get a bit of a cut. Like, it's just there, because you put in a little bit of effort. Obviously, too, what your kid likes. So you know what you can get away with, of just like, okay, let me just take this off your hands. All right. Don't worry about eating this. I'll take it. I don't like Reese's. Okay, that's fine. Say no more. But that's always something to also look forward to. I always feel like Halloween is a pay it forward situation. If there's a kid in your neighborhood or kids in your neighborhood, be sure to stock up. Be sure to make them aware that, hey, we're going to hand out candy, blah, blah, blah. But, and just try to be, friendly about it. Don't throw the shades down, or don't answer the door, or don't. Yeah. And I've been on both sides of it.
If you don't have candy, do that. I'll say that.
Yes, if you don't have candy. But you should have candy. You should.
It depends. Like,
there
are people that, might not be a good neighborhood. You might live in like an apartment complex and stuff like that. Everybody has different situations.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be like, oh, don't be a dick. Like, everybody has a different situation, and if you can do the right thing, buy the full size candy bars too. By the way, just saying, throwing that out there.
Yeah, don't be a cheap prick. Like, it just. Or just, if you don't have the full size, at least give them a handful. Don't be skimpy. Don't give them like 2 or 3. Just like, especially with my hands, it's just like, they're at least going to get a half dozen to 7. It's like with the cat treat. She tells me all the time. It's just like, don't give them much. Honey, my hand and your hand is completely different as far as size is concerned. So if I grab a handful of the fuck thing, he's going to get at least 15.
Oh, God,
like, shit.
The other thing I would just throw out there too, because I always hated these people, and I'm sure you would agree with me. Don't be that person who gives out pretzels and popcorn and all that shit. Kids want fucking candy. Just get candy. Don't be that person.
Also, give people a suggestion. Nabisco is very good as far as peanut allergy wise. Oreos are peanut allergy friendly. I think Chips Ahoy's are too. So if there are kids that have a peanut allergy, make sure you have at least buy the Oreo packs and buy the Chips Ahoy packs. They sell the multi-packs, the little ones where they got like a half dozen or whatnot. Buy at least those.
Well, even
Okay,
the
so that
minis,
way
too.
these kids don't feel left out.
Yep, I agree.
Like
I
you
agree.
got to be able at least to, you know, and because don't kids, oh, it's just like, well, I can give everybody fruit. No one wants fucking fruit.
Better be chocolate
Halloween.
covered. Better be fucking chocolate covered. Other than that,
Exactly.
fuck yourself.
Well, of course, if you watch Halloween 2, you also don't want to get any apples because God knows what that. It's never fucking happened, folks. It's never happened.
Oh my goodness.
Except in Halloween 2, that one girl. Yeah, that was kind of traumatizing. Like that was kind of bloody. But Halloween 2 also, like, that wasn't the bloodiest thing in Halloween 2. Like there was there was far more brutal deaths. By the way, Halloween 2, if because I know some would say, well, it's not exactly canon. Look, here's my take on Halloween 2. Okay, we'll go into the Halloween discussion a little bit here. So Halloween 2, people don't say is part of canon because everybody's just like, well, it's Halloween 1, Halloween 2018, Halloween kills and Halloween ends. First of all, fuck you if you want to close with Halloween ends. You might have that as your closing, but it's not, okay? The fact is that Halloween 2, in my opinion, is technically canon because it's a dream sequence. It starts with Mr. Sandman and then it ends with Mr. Sandman. So you can make a basis argument that it actually is canon because it's a dream sequence. Plus, it technically does touch upon in the movie that Laurie and Michael were brother and sister, which gets debunked in Halloween 2018 anyways. So it's kind of, it's one of those pieces. I like it because of just, number one, the atmosphere of it, because it's in like some lone hospital, Haddonfield Hospital, where I am in the area that I live in, central Massachusetts, there is a hospital, actually where procedures have been done in my family for people, but that's been recent years. But this is going back maybe 25, 30 years ago, where this hospital was kind of vacant. And it was just a really ominous place. I remember my great grandmother dying there. God, this is have to be 93. And I just remember going in to visit before she passed, at just a very ominous hospital. I first saw the film in the mid to late 90s. This, of course, brought up the memories of the old kind of hospital that my great grandmother had passed in, where I was just like, wow, if a horror movie was shot there, it would have been really cool. But yeah, if anybody wants to debate if Halloween 2 is canon, I think you should just, number one, Halloween 2 is one that you definitely need to kind of go revisit. If you don't want to put it as canon, fine. I think it's one of the better ones as far as sequels are concerned, because some of the sequels did get ridiculous. Let's be quite honest. Stephanie and I earlier were watching the history of Friday the 13th, which yesterday I was watching. We were both watching it the last couple of days. And I think it was either by part 6 or part 7, where every time he was reincarnated, she was just like, this is fucking ridiculous. Every time she was just like, and every time, oh, come on. And then he dies. And then at the end, oh, he's reincarnated by this cable. Oh, come on. And that's kind of how I expect the Halloween kind of franchise to get revisited in history. It by far is one of my favorite horror film kind of franchises possible. You could tell in the background, there's an entire stack of figures up over there as well. I have a giant Michael Myers figure in the back, also next to my 85 Hogan. And it's kind of him dressed as it's like a version of like a stuffed doll, one of the talking dolls as a child that we would have gotten of like Pee Wee Herman or what was some of the other ones? There was one of Beetlejuice, like that. And And so they did one for Michael Myers. I think they did one for Jason. There was one done by Matchbox for Freddy, actually, in the late 80s. This was right around, I think it was the same vein, same line that they released the Pee Wee Herman doll. It was so weird. So weird how kind of things, again, were marketed even back then, but were ill. So, anyways. I think we can finally start talking about wrestling instead of me going on and on about the Halloween franchise.
Well, the only thing I'll say is, we are recording this on Halloween Eve, as it were. So, for those that are going to pick this up at another time, I hope you had a great Halloween, whether you celebrate it, quote unquote, or not. I hope everybody that does go out and do stuff remains happy, healthy, and safe. And
absolutely,
definitely watch scary movies for Halloween. I agree.
Yes, just as long as it's not Halloween Ends.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that back up, because I did want to say this before we move on. If somebody comes to your house with a Corey mask, just shut the door in their face, please. And if you don't know Corey, watch Halloween Ends. Or just Google it, because, you might not want to see that, but,
I was going over it actually last night with Billy Booram about if Halloween Resurrection was the worst of the franchise, and I said no. I said it's Ends. I said Ends takes the cake. I said Ends is worse than Resurrection. I would also say that Curse of Michael Myers #6 is worse than Resurrection. Actually, that was the first rated R movie I ever went to too at the theater. Actually,
which one was Resurrection? I can't place it right now.
That was the one after H2O.
Okay.
With Busta Rhymes.
Yeah. That one was bad. Yeah.
But it wasn't the worst.
No, I don't think it was either. I
feel like my Halloween 5 as well. Another one I would probably put in that category of worse than Resurrection. And Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 worse than Resurrection.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's not the worst of the series, almost kind of like, but it's like the worst.
It's like top 5 worst.
Yes. But I would also say another category, it's not my least favorite, but it's also not one that if someone was just like, oh, you want to watch Halloween Resurrection? It's like, well, if nothing else is on, yeah, fine, fuck it. Like I wouldn't refuse it.
Yeah.
Like to watch it again. Like that's the thing.
No, I agree with you. I think if it's on, or if I saw it on a streaming service and nothing else is popping out to me, I'd probably watch it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to actively seek it out.
Because I own the first 10.
Yeah.
And then I have 2018, and then I have Kills on Blu-ray. Ends will never end up in my collection. That's I have every other film. I even have the other ones that I think that are worse than Resurrection. I will never fucking buy Halloween Ends. It'll never be in my collection at all. Like it's just.
I would only get it if it was a cheap set of all the movies. That would be the only reason I would.
That's out now. That's out now. Finally.
But I'm saying cheap.
Right. Actually, that's just the trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Like that's
no.
just the
I'm talking
new trilogy.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah, I think I bought I think I bought the.
When you bought that pack, I remember it because
it was like $40.
Yeah, it was like $40.
Blu-ray,
it was all those movies. So I was like, shit. But yeah, like I said, those other movies, I wouldn't go actively seeking them out. If I found a cheap pack with all of that stuff, then that's one thing. But other than that, man, I'm gonna pass.
I even bought a fucking Blu-ray box set of Critters and Leprechaun. I own those. You think I'm gonna fucking and I'd rather own those than buy Halloween Ends. That's how bad it is. Awful. Fucking terrible.
There's so many jokes I'm just not gonna make. Anyways, yeah, wrestling. Got ourselves a afternoon PLE this Saturday.
Yes. yeah, there's going to be some interesting stuff that not only comes out of that, the post show is going to be interesting. We'll get up more on that later. But
which post show?
Oh, that's the interesting part.
Yep.
Pretty much at one point we're just going to be on. So we'll make the announcement that because if anybody wants to watch this, because if anybody watches this before Saturday on Facebook Live, the Pro Wrestling World on Facebook, as soon as the show ends, or within probably a 15-minute window, I'd say at most. Actually, during the main event, I'll probably open the chat room and I'll just be like, yeah, whenever we're ready. And then we're just gonna coast. We're just gonna go, and we're just gonna give you a full review. Probably our bitching because Goldberg's back.
Why do you have to jinx it? You said it in the pre-show. I was fine with it there, but now you put it on the air, and I don't want to be part of that.
Because it's probably going to be my predictions for one of the matches.
Probably will be. Yeah.
So it's like it's not going to be me trying to hear. Excuse me. I'm not trying to pull something out of my ass either.
Yeah, I know.
Most of the time, even though I try to sit here and I try to be honest with people, not try to be honest, I'm honest. I just try to come out here and try to give you my opinion on what I think is going to happen. I don't do any reporting or any news shit or anything like that. And I try to stick with reliable people that aren't Meltzer. Because Meltzer, you know how much I trust Meltzer?
I don't know. It might be zero.
Exactly. I trust
That
Meltzer
much.
fucking zero. That much.
Yeah, I know.
As far as a news source, yes. If it like certain people like PWI Insider want to report it, or maybe like I don't know. There's a couple of really good sources that but usually like PW Insider. Once they do it, it's pretty much like set in stone. Like Mike Johnson and everybody over there, like Wade Keller, who I think are I think they're probably the most reliable guys. They don't have a fucking agenda. Like they come out and they just say, hey, this is what's probably happening. And, it's heavily rumored, but yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, that we're going to talk about it immediately after Facebook Live, or within a small window. But we're going to be going live for the first time, our first Facebook Live podcast, in front of a pretty decent audience. So I hope everybody listens. I hope everybody tunes in. I hope everybody comments, or I really hope not many people comment because, there's so many good people on the internet that just spread nothing but positivity. So,
Couldn't read the sarcasm in your voice whatsoever. And I know I'm one of them, so shit.
It's like the internet just spreads such positivity and such love and such reinforcement to people and their opinions. Like they don't do anything to anything out there to just make people feel completely and utterly like trash because of their opinions. So cannot wait.
Shut up, bitches.
Cannot wait to be able to give a live reaction, almost a post-show reaction for WWE's Crown Jewel this weekend, and of course have to hear about, oh, you're just going to talk about a Blood Money show. Great, yeah, I just can't wait for these comments.
But that's when I'm just going to go, yeah, we are.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a few Chardonnays. What of it?
What of it? Yeah, exactly. What of it?
Yeah. So I want to start with actually the match that's scrolling past right now. So there is a fatal 4-way women's tag match. The reason I want to start here is because there are actually 7 matches on the card now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it feels like a lot compared to the last couple pay-per-views, or pretty much all of them this year. PLEs, excuse me.
Wow.
But, I feel like this one is something that might actually end up on the pre-show. So that's kind of why I wanted to start there.
I actually thought this was a triple threat at first, and then looking for the pictures earlier today, I was like, oh, that's a fatal four-way. So you have Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, the champions, facing Damage Control, Kairi Sane and Io Sky, versus NXT's Metaphor, which is Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. And the last team here is Chelsea Green and Piper Niven.
I mean, I hate to kind of point this out here, but I'm going to be that guy.
I'm willing to bet you're not going to be alone, but go ahead.
No, it's just this show it's just like, why is this here? Why is this not like on SmackDown? And because I understand that you have to, there's that part of, well, things are different now here.
Wait a minute. You're saying this, and then 5 minutes ago, not even, you're calling it a Blood Money show. So I'm just going to refer you to your previous comment because you already answered your own question. It's for the money. Like, let's be real.
I understand
Jade Cargill
that.
has never been to Saudi Arabia. She's going to draw a fucking bank. Bianca's been there, not with Jade. She's going to draw a bank.
Yes.
Kyrie.
Well, I mean, the paydays are nice.
Well, hold on though.
Yeah.
Kyrie was there last year
as a cameo appearance to help Io win. Io's been there. They love Io over there.
Right.
Metaphor has never been there, and I don't think Chelsea or Piper have been there either. And not for nothing, but I feel like Chelsea and Piper are the dark horses in this match. Just gonna throw that out there because I think everybody else does not expect them to win. And Chelsea and Piper have been phenomenal throughout the year, especially Chelsea.
That's the thing. Like, both of them have just been excellent. Like, Chelsea Green has put herself in a position in this company where at any time she can win a championship, and it's just like, all right, cool.
And nobody would be
like, I'm
surprised
fucking
or
behind it.
upset.
No one would care. No one would be mad.
Yep.
Because she's put the fucking work in.
100%.
Like, she's put the work in. So is Piper. Like, they've gotten to be able to both kind of save their careers. I think both of them, because nobody really knew what to do with Piper Niven. Nobody really knew what to do with Chelsea Green. And it was just like, let's just fucking put them together. And it worked.
Yeah.
It's been fucking money.
It absolutely worked. Yep.
So it wouldn't be surprising if they win. It wouldn't be surprising at any time if they win the championships because they're that good. I don't know, though. I think once they look at Jade, though, once they get a look, I think they're just going to be like, yeah, they ain't losing. Fuck that. Like, because this is, I mean, both of them are just, like, especially Jade, because every time that she's out there now, it's just like the star power, this magnetism of the world just is guided to her. And the same thing, too, with Bianca. I'm still waiting for the kind of, do you do it at WrestleMania? Do you do the match at Mania? Do you wait another year? Like, do you draw this thing out? Do you wait a little bit more?
I 100% that they have to wait another year at this point.
I think it's another year because I just don't think it's the right time. I don't think people are ready to boo Bianca. I don't think people are ready to boo Jade. So I just don't think.
I think they're ready to boo Jade. She was under heavy criticism throughout the year for a lot of the botches that she had. I feel like she's gotten a lot better over time, though.
A lot better.
Everybody expected that. Let's be real. I don't think anybody expected the botches that initially happened, but everybody expected her to get better, and she 100% has. But I don't think she's ready for a singles feud still, simply because we've seen her in, 2 singles matches that I can remember anyways?
Yes.
One was against Nia, which I thought was fine. The other one, I forget, was it Candice LeRae, I think?
I think so.
I think in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, of King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring, both, whatever. So, I mean, I think those are the two, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think that she's grown on people, and that's because of the work that she has put in. But I just don't know if she's really ready for a singles run right now. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that, honestly. I think that the more that they work with her, she will get to that point. But I don't think that this ride with her and Bianca is over yet, whether they lose the titles on Saturday or not.
It's tough. I think because they're in a position, because Bianca, it's like you think about a WrestleMania trajectory where it's like 3 in a row.
Yeah. Yep.
And she was the champion where it was the world was kind of like her oyster. And it's now it's like I almost kind of feel bad because I'm looking at it and I'm like, she's still in that same spot. Like it's just she shouldn't be in just doing the tag thing,
You know what? Let's table this for a second. Just for a quick second, let me walk you through a scenario, right? Because I think they actually could do it this year. So I'm going to walk you through what I think. And jump in at any point. But I think they still could make Mania this year. Because as the tag champs currently, and as a tag team probably going into at least January, I think would make sense. But then you could very easily start planting those seeds at the Rumble. And if they both eliminate each other, who's to say that they both can't be in the Elimination Chamber? And then maybe that's how you progress that story. And then at Mania, neither one's still going to have a title match, but they'll still have a marquee match with each other.
That's how they did it with the Mega Powers in '89.
Exactly.
Like during the Rumble, Hogan eliminated Savage and added again another wrinkle. And you thought things worked out, and then February everything just kind of exploded. So you could do that where it doesn't implode it, but it starts the process.
Right.
And then within a couple of weeks, everything just kind of gets sped up.
Well, that's why I'm saying at the Rumble, because then you could still put them in the chamber, and there's that hesitation, and one gets eliminated and blames the other. You
could do Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, though, from WrestleMania 21, too, where it's tag team champion versus tag team champion.
That is true. I don't think that would work.
It wouldn't. I think it needs to be one of them is the villain in this. Yeah. And the problem is that
they're both so over his faces.
It's because you look at Bianca and she's a fucking role model.
Yeah.
Like you have all these girls that just want to be just like Bianca, and it just changes the game. It really does. But, and now it's just, especially now with women's sports, just really, really being taken to like more extreme because especially with the WNBA, I mean, things really, I think are really starting to cook as far as women's sports are concerned. So I look at Jade and I look at Bianca and I look at like Rhea Ripley and I look at others on this roster, and I think to myself, there's a whole generation of young girls now are going to be watching this and are now going to be like mesmerized looking at these girls and role models, and they're going to be able to inspire another generation of talent, and it's just going to be, and you look at and business for that is really going to get better and we'll talk, I'm sure, somewhat about what is now happening later with their development program, which some hate it. I'm
a wait and see.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I think it's a good idea. I need to see how it's going to work in a practical way, right? But we can get to that later, or if not, we can get that on post show next time because we're going to do that on Saturday, like we already said. That's
true, yeah.
So maybe we'll get your opinions on that, but I think it's a double-edged sword. Truthfully, I'm a wait and see though, because maybe it's going to work out great. Maybe it is going to be that double-edged sword. Maybe it's going to flop. I don't know. In practicality, and just hearing it, I think it's a great idea. But not all of these great ideas that they have had over the years have actually panned out to actually be great. So
there's a lot of companies that they've fucked over along the way.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
And of course I was under an old regime. they got the right people behind it, because I guess Gabe Sapolsky is going to be behind it, which I think is great because Gabe is fantastic. Also a massive, was an understudy of Paul Heyman in ECW even, was the booker for Ring of Honor in their early days. And also, it's also so, when he was out in the free agent market, it was just like, why doesn't Tony Khan fucking call him?
I know.
Just one of those guys that should have had a fucking job, that really is smart to the industry. And it really, what he did, especially for Evolve, all those guys from Evolve owe him a huge debt of gratitude, and vice versa, because a lot of the talent that also came out of there has really become massive fucking talent. But, it bothers me that it took him this long to kind of get like a job again, like in working for a major promotion, because he's such a great like mind and such a great kind of personality for the industry. One of the few good guys, because again, there's just been so much crap in the industry, and as far as leadership is concerned, and I feel like that with that it has a chance, but it's still going to be divisive. It's going to piss people off what they do, and it's going to be great for some things that people are really going to like about it. But again, I agree with Mac. I'm a wait and see person, but I think it's a interesting concept. But I'm skeptical because of, again, their track record. But again, that's under a different regime. But I also think too, the fact that several of the companies are, and several of the I would say training facilities are under your, couple of them are from your talents under their umbrella. So it's kind of like, it gives them a chance now to kind of just be like, well, I have to go and like look over things and do seminars and kind of get paid for it, and also be able to use their resources too. I think as far as, being able to get these guys set up with different things to help them along. So for that part, I think it's going to be good, but it's going to be tough to kind of, I think, be able to make everybody happy with that. And that's kind of going to have to kind of be the balancing act for them.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way to make everybody happy from this, honestly. There's always going to be those divisive opinions. And, I think the wait and see policy that you and I have about this right now is probably the best way until we can kind of see what actually comes out of it. But, moving on, at least with the matches, though. So I'm just going to go in order that I have it scrolling at the bottom of the screen here. So the next match that is after that, if you're paying attention to the scrolling of the matches, is Seth freaking Rollins versus Big Bronson Reed.
Jesus, this match. That fucking thing on Monday.
Ooh, yeah.
What the
I thought it was
Seth's
over.
cutting a promo on him.
Yeah.
And you just hear in the background. I'm like, oh my God, it's Frankenstein. He
Yeah.
just wakes back up.
And
just the Death Valley the running Death Valley driver off the back of the truck. I'm like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
I legit had to rewind it because I missed it at first, because I thought it was over. He's walking away, he's making a promo. I was like, all right, it's over, whatever. And I went to go do something else because it happened at a time where I was watching from my phone anyways. So then I went back. I was able to kind of hit rewind on it, which is hard to do from the app that I use, but I was able to do it. And I was like, oh shit. That Death Valley driver, man. Holy shit.
That was
brutal. Fun. Brutal. It was absolutely
it looked brutal. It's just so fun. You know what actually looked brutal? And I was the way Seth planted on the hood, like with the
stomp,
with the fucking stomp. I'm like,
yeah.
Why are you still? I'm like,
how is this so good? Yeah,
just do the pedigree. Just do pedigree. I'm like, it's better for you. Like, it's just, I don't want you to hurt that, because it just, every time he does the stomp now, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, oh God, one meniscus, like, because you worry about one ACL or one MCL tear away, and it's just like the guy's done.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like I'm at with him and his career. And it's so hard to kind of live a life like that of just, because I don't want to see him there's still so much for Seth I want to be able to, with his career. There's so many other matches I want him to be able to have. And, you want to see Punk versus Seth.
That's when I
like
started
you wanted so bad.
Yeah.
But honestly, you want to see this because this is going to be a fucking war.
Listen, I'm going to say one thing about CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, and I can't believe I'm actually going to say it now. I don't know if the feud that they're going to have is going to be able to top what CM Punk did with Drew McIntyre. I just don't. I don't know.
It's going to be tough now because but the only thing now that I think the leg up that it does have is the fact that they have that personal kind of.
That is true. Yeah.
Kind of connection because Punk trained Seth.
Oh, no.
Like there's that whole story. He talked about in the DVD. And Seth came to Ring of Honor with like no money. And I think that Punk probably, because Punk was the head trainer, and Punk, I'm sure, kind of just said,
I got you. Come under the wing.
got you. You're like, because that was the kind of guy he was. So I'm sure that that's part of it. And you wonder how much of this still, and that whole thing is just like, let's just work this angle. Like you wonder if that's this whole part of it, and it's just like it's been a big kind of schmoz the whole time. Of just or it could be it could be the Brett and Sean of this generation of just two guys that just. But the thing about it is that they never had a match. Like they've never, like at least on TV, they did in NXT. They never, though, like that was a dark match show. They never had an actual match one-on-one on TV. So now, and that's I think is the money program. That's the one everybody wanted last year. We didn't get it, or for Mania this past year because of Punk's injury. But at the same time, they somehow were able to take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. And so you've been able to do the same thing now with Seth with his Bronson Reed feud and being able to keep him busy.
Yeah.
And now made Bronson Reed this unstoppable killer. Like I said last week, I said, it's up to you, dude, to get this thing over. And you know what? This past fucking Monday, he got this fucking thing over. And now I can sit there and say that this match is definitely a must watch. And now it's going to definitely put Bronson Reed in a position where he is going to be a monster killer heel for that company.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is what they need him to be.
Absolutely.
Like I know people want to throw Braun Breaker's name out there, but Braun is always going to walk that line for me between a proper face and a badass heel. It's always going to walk that line. It's like Rhea. We talked about this weeks ago, right? It's like Rhea, by definition, should be a heel, but she's so fucking over that really she's a face.
Yep.
I feel like Braun Breaker is the same. And he's been built that way too. Really, he has. But Bronson Reed, it's just so different. The dude should be billed as a monster. And I don't like some of the booking decisions that they've had for him this past year. But oh my God, this is the right one to make. Especially coming off a television feud with Braun Strowman, to finish that feud out more or less, and speedy recovery wishes to Braun Strowman, obviously, but to then have Seth come back in that moment, it was like poetic. It just made all the sense in the world. And this is after weeks of like tsunamis on everyone multiple times. It's exactly how he needs to be booked. Exactly how. So I honestly know that I called this like a torch passing match, so to speak. I don't think Seth needs to pass the torch. I just think Bronson Reed honestly just needs to show up, put on a good showing, and that's all the guy needs to do. And if he loses, I don't think that hurts him, because you got a guy like Seth Rollins in the ring against you. I don't think it even hurts Seth to lose, honestly, at this point.
I think what happened on Monday is Bronson's flipping over the fucking ambulance moment.
Yeah, 100%.
like he doesn't need to win, in my opinion. Even though I think it's a very good chance he will.
Yep.
Because I don't know if it's going to be a one or done type thing. I don't think it will be, because I think you can get more out of this, and I think that Bronson will be able to prove that you can get more out of this. This is his chance. This is his chance, I think, to really kind of prove, I think, everything to a lot of people. And I think he is good. I think the match is going to be brilliant. I think Seth's going to be able to do everything he can to get this guy over. And I think Bronson's going to do everything he can to get himself over. So I think that this is going to be, I think, in my opinion, maybe the most athletic contest of the night. I don't know if it's going to be the match of the night, only because
it's not going to be the match of the night.
I can't even say it's going to be the match of the night, just because of the fact of that there's so many other matches that are just, you can sit there and say this is going to be a match.
I think it has, for all intents and purposes, I think it has the ability to steal the show, is what I'll say.
Agree. Yes.
I don't think it will be match of the night, but it has potential to steal the show.
Yes.
But why don't we then move on then? So the next match in that order of what's scrolling at the bottom of the screen is Randy Orton versus KO Kevin Owens. This match, I feel like, has been simmering for the last couple of weeks, but it feels like the new It feud on SmackDown, not counting the Bloodline, obviously. It feels like SmackDown's Rollins versus Reed to me, this match. It just does.
It kind of is, because, it's the, except both guys are really kind of top veterans. Like, they're both
in terms of like the feud itself, but yeah.
Yeah. It's also one where it's like, because both guys are kind of dicks. Like, it's just like, one guy's going to turn on one guy's turned on everybody, another guy's turned on everybody. It's two guys that have made a career out of this.
Yeah.
And have also had it done to them. So they've seen it 150,000 times. I kind of, when I saw the angle that he had with Triple H on Friday, I was just kind of like, is this?
Yeah.
Why don't you just make the match? Like, do we really need this? Like, does he need to come out and be like, hey, we could have talked about this earlier, but you're never on time. It's like, okay, we get it. You're the fucking boss now. I get it. You're the principal. Why don't you just come out like Principal Skinner now and just be like, am I out of touch? Am I soft? Am I out of touch? No, it's not me that's out of touch. Like,
Seymour!
Nick Khan is fucking Superintendent Chalmers.
Yeah.
Or Super Nintendo Chalmers, if we're talking about Ralph. I Super Nintendo Chalmers. Oh my god. And he's just so bad. Like, you just see it in his face. I'm just like, oh god. Working for a school district, I always, and I've actually had meetings with the boss, the superintendent. And I always try to remember to call him doctor. Do not call him doctor. And then I'm just like, hey, first name. And I'm just like, oh, you fucking idiot. He's a doctor. Why are you calling him by your, like, thinking I'm just like one of the guys. And I'm just like, it's like, no, he's not one of the guys. He's the fucking doctor. He's your boss. But there's always a part of me. It's just like, just call him super Nintendo Choppers. Just call them Super Nintendo Choppers. Just call them Super Nintendo Choppers. Like, I want to do it, but at the same time, I don't, because I don't want him to think I'm a complete fucking moron. Even though he could watch any of these episodes and automatically know that I'm a complete fucking moron. But
Oh, that's
I feel like
Daniel McDanielson.
exactly Daniel McDanielson. Yes, that's who I referred to now. Of just call me Daniel McDanielson. It's not who I am supposed to be. It's Daniel McDanielson, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Yeet!
But Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Again, two guys who have turned against each other and against everybody else 600,000 times in their careers. So it's, again, a one-on-one match between two guys that are also top veterans. I think the matchup has happened before. So, again, I didn't understand the Triple H thing. I was just like, just fucking make the match. Who cares? Like, why do you need to come out here? It's like, just talk to Nick Aldis and get the match made. Why do you need to get Triple H involved?
Because they're boys.
And then it's like Triple H is talking back there. Triple H is a gorilla position, and all of a sudden his music starts. It's like, oh, I guess I'm going to go out now. You're out of the fucking show. Of course you're supposed to be going out now. Like, you know that you're going out now. And your magic, I guess I'm going out now? No, I guess. Go out. Shit. It's like, it just was so unnecessary and so over dramatic of just make the match. You don't need to have Triple H come out here and do this big fucking spectacle and just be like, Randy, we would have had this discussion earlier if you'd come to work on time. No one cares.
Yeah.
Don't sound like the boss. Like, everybody likes you. When you sound like the boss, it's like, then everybody's just like, oh God, he sounds like my boss. It's like, no one wants to hear that. You're the fucking baby face. Everybody loves you. Don't give them a reason to be like, oh, hey, remember, I'm the boss. Fuck off. God.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry. It just, I felt like it was a waste of television. It was just a waste of television for him to just come out and be like, well, I was trying to, no. Just do this, Rick, all this. Why are you out here? Like, you make it, sorry.
It might, I don't know. It might be zero.
Yeah, I don't know. It's bad because it's like, you're right. Like, Nick Aldis is there. Why do we need to have Triple H come out? And I get it. They're boys, but, why? Why was it necessary? I get it from the standpoint of, like, using it as a plot device, but it just felt kind of flat to me. It's like, all right, cool. Triple H is here. He's in the back every night. Like, I don't give a shit. Why?
It just make sense. It just didn't make sense. Like, Nick Aldis is the GM. We don't need to see you. We don't need this, like, melodrama of just like, I was, we go back a lot. We know.
Yep.
You're the fucking boss.
Yep.
Stay in gorilla. Shut the fuck up. You don't need to come out. And it's just, and we get the match. We understand it. But you don't need to come out to make it a more important than what it actually is. People know both guys' accolades. They can go on Wikipedia. They know the accolades. They've seen Kevin Owens for a decade. They've seen Randy Orton for over 2 decades. Yep. So everybody knows the accolades. Everybody knows everything that these guys have done. You don't need to come out and just make it this thing. Just let them, just book the match. People understand why there's conflict. That's it. That's all we need. I think the match will be solid. The match will be good because, again, it's between both excellent top-level talent and both guys that know how to do ring psychology and also know how to turn up the violence when necessary. So I am expecting something fun. I am expecting something Really hard hitting between two guys, I think, that are some of the better echelon workers in the company. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, no, listen, it's hard to disagree with that statement because I pretty much feel the same way. I think this match can have serious, what's the word? I almost said complications. Can it definitely have, something down the road, I'll say, saying it that way for a reason, that could potentially have implications, that's the word I was looking for, towards who ends up as the undisputed WWE champion after a few months, I'll say it that way. Because I really am of the mind that Cody may or may not be champion going into WrestleMania. Is there, anything to back that up? Time will tell. But it could at least be somewhat of a segue feud for Cody, if not for Randy Orton, until that time period of getting closer and closer to WrestleMania. But we don't know. We'll kind of have to wait and see what that's going to look like. The next match on the scrolling of the screen, let me just backtrack here a little bit to get my bearings back a little bit correctly here. Oh my goodness. Because that rant was epic. What do we have? We have the United States Championship. LA Knight.
Yeah!
Versus Andrade. And also versus Carmelo Hayes. This match, I sniffed this match out like months ago. When they first started doing Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes and kept bouncing around of, who's going to challenge LA Knight for the U.S. Championship. I sniffed this one out months ago when they first started doing that. I think this is going to be a great match for a lot of different reasons, and I cannot predict a winner in this match at all. I can't do it. But what do you feel about this match?
Well, I feel like keeping the title on LA Knight should be the direction because, he's still one of the top guys in the company. There's really no
the sponsorship too.
Yeah, there's really no need to take the title off.
I don't think so.
I feel like unless they're moving him up, to challenge for Cody or challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe if they move him, if they do a draft or whatever the hell they do next year, who knows? But I expect him to keep I expect the match to be entertaining. I think Andrade and Carmelo have really good chemistry. I also think LA Knight is also an underrated worker. 100%. So I think the match will be solid, but I'm kind of leaning towards LA Knight retaining, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I really am too. I believe Andrade has already been a United States champion with his previous tenure with the company. Yes. I wouldn't hate having Carmelo Hayes as U.S. champion. I wouldn't. But then, kind of to your point, then what happens with LA Knight? Because it really depends what happens the next few months, obviously, but I don't see him winning the Rumble. I would have liked him to win Money in the Bank, but, we all know what happened there. And
let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the good times. Let's talk about the bad times. There's been a lot of good times this year, not a lot of bad times. That was a bad time. Let's talk about that.
That was a bad time, I agree. I vehemently agree. But I just, I don't see him winning an Elimination Chamber either. But again, that still depends on who are the champions going into WrestleMania, I guess, and into that event as well. So I don't know. I'm in the same boat. It's very hard for me to put LA Knight down a peg. And listen, he could even go in an Elimination Chamber still as U.S. champion and win or lose. It doesn't matter because it's still, at the end of the day, kind of a mid-card title. Right. And then I said before, he has that sponsorship deal with Slim Jim, as does Bianca Belair, if I'm not mistaken. So doing anything in that regard, I think would be a little foolish, but We'll see. We'll see. I think you're right, though. I think it's going to be an LA Knight win. I wouldn't be upset if it was Carmelo Hayes or Andrade either, though.
No, I like all three guys. So.
Yeah, same. All right. So the next match that's going to bring us into the Crown Jewel Championship matches, the first of two on the screen or in the scrolling down below of the matches. We have the Women's World Champion on Raw, Liv Morgan, versus the SmackDown Women's Champion, Nia Jax. There are a lot of variables in this match, too, by the way.
There are many variables in this match now.
Yes.
Um,
Go ahead. I'll let you go.
No. I'll let you go. I'll let you start, and I'll kind of rebut and see. Even though I'm not going to rebut, I think you have.
Rebut.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen, I think it is entirely possible that neither one of them wins this match. Just gonna throw that out there now. Okay. They have not stipulated any type of stipulations for these matches. But I also feel that it would be really strange to not have a winner, if you catch my meaning. So let's kind of walk through all of that, right? First of all, there could obviously be a DQ. I think if you're reading between the lines of what I'm saying here, you might kind of understand it, but we'll still get there, right? However, as I said, there's going to be a lot going on in this match. Liv Morgan is a part of the Judgment Day. She is most likely going to be accompanied by, if not Dominic Mysterio, then Raquel Rodriguez. That's assuming it's not both of them. You also have Carlito. You also have JD McDonough. You also have Finn Balor, who are all not scheduled to compete. And I would be shocked if any of them missed Crown Jewel. Okay. Nia Jax has Tiffany Stratton. She also kind of might have Pretty Deadly. We don't know. They seem to kind of hang out with them, though. So who's to say? And then there's Tiffany, who may or may not come out with Nia, that is 1,000,000% going to be in Saudi Arabia, because they love her at these international events. And she's also Miss Money in the Bank. So, kind of like I said, to kind of summarize, there's a lot of variables to this match. There's also the Rhea Ripley factor for Liv Morgan. There's also the Bayley factor for Nia Jax, or Naomi, whichever, really. There's also Candice LeRae and India Hartwell that have somehow ingratiated themselves with Nia Jax since last week. The way. The female way. There's so many different variables to this. I really do kind of believe, though, that Tiffany is going to cash in, and one way or the other, she's walking out with one of those belts, if not two of them, to also be the inaugural Women's Crown Jewel Champion. What are your thoughts on this?
So my thought process, let me get my camera on here, folks.
Good to go.
My thought process is this. I think because of what happened on NXT on Tuesday, has kind of sealed the fate of Liv Morgan. I think Rhea runs in, incapacitates Liv, where not only Nia wins, but Tiffany cashes in on Liv. Short and sweet. And then it's kind of the Nia and Tiffany show on both shows, which is fine, because I think both of them are. It's kind of it's really entertaining. It's another one of these tag teams where you're just like, I didn't expect to enjoy this, but I enjoy this. So it's kind of that's kind of where my thought process is, where it's Tiffany cashes in and they kind of just do this for a while when it's both of them as kind of the champions, which I think I'm fine with. And then it's just is able to allow Liv and Rhea and Raquel to go off on their own and not kind of make the title the centerpiece of their feud, because I think they have built it enough now where it's just they don't need the title around to make it mean anything. I think it means something without the title. So having somebody else with the title, I think, is a better position for everybody, right?
I don't hate that. I do kind of see a lot of what you're saying, though, because I do feel that Rhea's going to get involved and that somehow Tiffany cashes in on that. I know they'll probably never do this, but it would be great to see Tiffany have all three belts at once. It really would. Even if it's just for a little bit, even if it's for like a day or until Monday, whatever you want to call it, where she has the Women's World Championship, the WWE Women's Championship, and the Crown Jewel Championship. And then, come Monday, she has to vacate one of them and make a choice. I wouldn't hate that. Because not only does that facilitate getting a belt on Tiffany, but it also facilitates the fact that you can now do Liv and Rhea and Raquel exactly as you're describing it, but also still incorporate the belt to a certain degree. Because at the end of the day, I think Raquel should be in the title conversation for that belt, whether it be the WWE Women's belt or the Women's World Championship, whichever. Again, pipe dream. I don't think they're ever going to do that. But I think it's just really tough. And I would honestly think that Rhea coming down would probably riptide both of them, honestly. Riptide Liv and also riptide Nia. Just like that either, let's be real. So it would make sense for her to be able to do that. And then I think the next logical positioning would be Tiffany sitting there wondering who she should actually cover. Because I think that would actually happen in a match like this. But either way, I don't hate either scenario, whether she wins the Women's World title or the Women's WWE Championship. I don't hate either scenario. I just think that regardless of how it goes down, there has to be some kind of follow-up, whether it's between Tiffany and Nia, whether it's Tiffany and Rhea maybe at some point, which I think would make a lot of sense if she goes to Monday nights. The other factor with Monday nights is Tiffany's boyfriend, Ludwig Kaiser, is also on Monday Night Raw.
Right.
So maybe that plays a role here a little bit in terms of maybe she will go to Raw. I'm going to be shocked if Tiffany does not cash in at this PLE, because the international crowds love Tiffany Stratton, and I think they will go batshit crazy for her in Saudi Arabia, especially. But I think
it makes sense on both ends.
No, it really does. But I think that we'll have to see what the turnout's going to be, because, like I said, man, regardless of our thoughts about this, there are so many variables that I think are going to come into play in this match. Like, I know people have complained, Meltzer being one of them.
It might. I don't know. There might be zero.
Thanks, Dave. That the amount of run-ins the last PLE was a little bit too much. I think the amount of run-ins in this match is going to be a little bit.
It's going to be nuts.
Yeah. Yep. But we'll see. I don't know. I think Tiffany Stratton wins the match. She's not even booked. It's not booked.
Because I'm not booked.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis Stamp. All right, so the other
Crown Jewel Championship. We have the World Heavyweight Champion on Raw, Gunther versus Cody Rhodes, SmackDown's undisputed WWE Championship.
Well,
Listen, to me, I'm just going to say this before you start. I think this has like 5-star match written all over it.
oh, without question.
I really do.
Without question. This is going to be. This is the best way to get these two together, at least right now. Like, because either way, this is not going to make either man look weak whatsoever. I think everybody. I alluded to the prediction earlier to how I think this is going to go. So let me just say before I get to we talk about the finish, what we both, because I think Matt can agree that this is kind of where we think this is going to go. Let's talk about what I think the meat and potatoes of the match before we get to the finish. And the fact is that this match is going to be exact balls to the walls. But as far as champion versus champion matchup, this is going to be into the ilk of Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. Both like really hard hitting kind of meaningful contests. And I feel like that this has their trajectory and on paper has the ability to do that. So,
I mean, listen, it's hard to follow that up. I mean, it's just. I summarized it best when I said it. I think this is going to be a 5-star match. I agree. I don't know that.
Might be 0.
Might be 0. I'm not even going to play it. It's tough because it's like
They're both very different.
and we can't underscore that. Gunther is more power, ground and pound,
Where I feel like Cody is a little bit more finesse and showy almost.
I don't know. If we had to pick a winners of this match, I don't know who I could pick. It's that tough for me. If I'm looking at just the power game, it's Gunther. If I look at, like how one might be a little bit more scrappy than the other, it's Cody. But we've seen Gunther play his role very well, I'll say it that way, against guys like Sami Zayn, against guys like Chad Gable. But they aren't Cody Rhodes. And they don't have some of the same offense that Cody has. So I think it's just a mesh of two very different styles. And I'm going to be interested to see what happens on SmackDown, since we're recording this on a Wednesday, as well, going into Crown Jewel. Because on SmackDown, it's going to be Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes against Kaiser and Gunther. Which, to me, makes things really interesting. Because we might get a little bit of a preview the night before on that SmackDown of what the PLE is actually going to look like. So I don't know whether we could sit here and say, especially now, knowing that we have that right before the PLE, or the day before, I should say, who's going to sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be this guy. Maybe it's going to be that guy. Maybe it's going to be Gunther. Maybe it's going to be Cody. Depending on the placement of the matches, who's to say that KO doesn't come out and try to interfere in the match? Who's to say Luke Kaiser doesn't come out to try to interfere in the match? Giovanni Vinci is back on TV at random points. Who's to say he does not come back out? Whether he comes out on SmackDown, since that's where he is now, who knows? Again, there's a little bit more variables here than just these two guys. But if I'm looking at it, I guess just looking at it on paper, I almost picked Gunther to win this match. I know it's for a newly created title, but I don't think it hurts either guy to lose this match. And,
you mentioned something earlier, which I guess I'll retouch on now, no matter how painful it might be for me to do so. You mentioned Goldberg. That might be a variable. We don't know. To that point, The Rock is around again. Who say he's not making a cameo in Saudi Arabia?
That's true.
It's just there's a lot of unknowns.
A lot of money being thrown around.
Yeah. And can you imagine the pop he would get in Saudi Arabia too if The Rock did show up? Just, it's crazy, man. I don't know. Or maybe this is the match right before, the other match that we have left. I'll say it that way.
I look at Gunther and I look at Cody Rhodes and I think to myself, this has to be like a Steamboat Flair type matchup. Like, this has the ability to do that. Both guys are very capable of being able to do that. So I feel like it makes all the sense in the world where this has the opportunity where both these guys can just put on the ultimate wrestling match, especially too for that audience, which, they're probably not used to it, considering the fact of at certain points they've had to sit through the Undertakers and the Shawn Michaels and Triple H's against the Undertakers and Kanes of the world. But now they're in, the Bray Wyatts against Goldbergs. But now they're actually going to get like a decent kind of wrestling matchup.
Don't bring that talk shit up. Oh my God.
Well, I have to bring up the participant who I think is going to be involved in this matchup, because I believe that Goldberg is going to play a factor in this contest, allowing Cody to walk out with the championship, the Crown Jewel Championship. And Gunther and Goldberg are probably face off at, like, say, Survivor Series. So Goldberg's going to get a nice retirement match and a good payoff. And Gunther's going to be able to also put him in the home. So, hey, that's not too bad. Like, that's kind of a decent trade-off. It's like, well, Gunther's going to be the guy to retire Goldberg.
I just, you know what? I don't hate that on paper.
I don't.
I just hate the fact that it would be Gunther as champion, most likely defending the World Heavyweight Championship against a guy that is retiring. Or, essentially already is retired. That's my only gripe. But aside from that, yeah, I'm not disappointed if Gunther retires him at all. Nope. Not at all.
You would wear that like a badge of honor.
You're goddamn right.
You'd buy the t-shirt and everything. If they had a commemorative t-shirt, you'd just be like, this is the best thing ever.
No, you know what, Dan? No, I wouldn't. You know why? I wouldn't need to, because I would buy them out. I'd have 7, one for every day of the week. And actually, you know what? I would buy an 8th for Laundry Day. Just throwing that out there.
Automatically your favorite shirt ever. It's just like, fuck Austin 316.
No,
this is the best shirt ever.
I'll still wear that one with pride. Don't worry.
Oh, of course.
But I'll still have 8 of those. So, I mean,
How great is it the Other Side Jackass shirt has finally resurfaced out there for consumption?
Only took way too many years.
I know. That was the one shirt from like my high school years. I was just like, I need this fucking shirt. But it's like you definitely couldn't go to your mom at that age and be like, Mom, can you buy this? What does that say on the front? Damn it!
I am sure that there are children out there, and I say children for a reason, not to be like pedophile or anything, but there are probably children out there that are wearing my old Steve Austin shirts. Because, man, I need to get new ones because those bad boys stopped fitting me about 15 years ago. Probably more, but still.
They have them in big boy sizes now, thank God.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I gotta buy more.
It's like all those shirts, I have to buy them again. And now they're all like out on production where it's just like, oh, they have that one too now. Fuck.
Yeah, man. I had the Smoking Skull. I had the Camo Smoking Skull. I had the Austin 316. I had so many different shirts of Steve Austin. So I'm sure that, like I said, they're in some, you know, homeless shelter or orphanage or something at this point, because that shit definitely does not fit me anymore. So anyway, just thinking about time. Hold on, what were you gonna say? What were you saying? Dan, I hate your internet tonight. I really do. Not a fan of it.
No, I was going to say anything.
Liar.
Liar. But we can somehow salvage this.
Yeah,
we can salvage this.
We can do this. We can do this. I've only sent you about 5 timestamps to edit this later. Anyway, just thinking about time and
I still fix it.
You can try. Just thinking about the time here and thinking about how the fact that your internet is shitting the bed all over the place at this point. Our last match for Crown Jewel most likely is going to be the main event of the evening, because if it's not, I'll be shocked and amazed. It is the OTC with the OG Bloodline, Jimmy and Jey Uso, against the New Bloodline. We do not know which 3 it's going to be, but if it is not Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu, I would be incredibly surprised. So it is a 6-man tag match, OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline. I'm a little surprised they're doing this now and not saving this for a 4th member on the OG Bloodline at Survivor Series. Not to say that's not going to happen, but just a little surprised.
Well, now also going with this past events that happened on Monday, where does Sami Zayn fit in all this?
Yep. Sure, we will find out Friday, just saying.
Will Sami Zayn also be present on Saturday for the matchup? And because, you know, in that crowd, big hero there.
Oh, yeah.
So him coming out and helping the OTC and the Usos makes all the sense in the world in that environment. And I don't think also him doing like I don't know if the heel turn, I don't know. I mean, it's all possible. It's a good kind of plot twist a little bit, because it did make all the sense in the world to kind of have him be a part of the original bloodline again, but having him a part of the new bloodline too, that's a good twist. I didn't really think about that before. I'm now adding that to the kind of the mix. It's like, okay. But I don't know. You're right. I think this matchup is happening a little too soon, but I also think at the same time, I'm looking at the rest of the card and I'm looking how it's like, well, big money here.
Yeah.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Listen, that was my thought as soon as that statement escaped my lips, is that you have a verified moneymaker, is how I'll say it, in this match. And obviously going to Saudi Arabia and calling it a verified moneymaker is part of the irony in that statement, I guess. But I don't know. I think that it's a little bit too soon. However, it does plant a seed, as you kind of referring to Sami Zayn, of where he's going to end up. And I think it is going to be on the OG Bloodline side. Whatever happened on Monday be damned. And part of that comes down to what I said earlier about Cody versus Gunther, where maybe The Rock makes his appearance known and his presence known in the sense that he's maybe going to be at Survivor Series on the team of Solo Sikoa. I don't know. We don't know. We have no idea. It could be 4-on-4, it could be 5-on-5. We just have no effing idea. So I think that's what makes this a little bit interesting, is the fact that they can do some kind of cameo with this. They can have Sammy come out. They can have The Rock come out. Now they have to find a fifth. Maybe the fifth is going to be Cody Rhodes. Maybe it's going to be somebody else. We have no idea. But that's what makes this whole thing interesting. And I know there's people out there that disagree, that they're burnt out by the bloodline, but it's still engaging television. It still is. And layering in these other people worked in the past and layering Sammy back in, I'm sorry, it's money. It printed money the last time. This was supposed to be a 3 to 4 week kind of thing for Sammy. It ended up running 6 months because of how much he actually incorporated himself into the Bloodline story. You can't sit there and say that it's like, oh, well, he's going to be with Solo. I don't think so. We'll find out Friday, and then we'll find out again on Saturday. Maybe he's there. Maybe he shows up. Maybe Roman says something to him and apologizes. Maybe we find out what Solo and him were talking about. We'll have to see. But I think there's a lot of implications for this match and what it might mean for Survivor Series. I hope. I don't want this to be the last match for a while, but, you know, it's just, I don't know. I think they can proceed accordingly and still do this at War Games and see how it goes. Because not for nothing, you're already kind of setting up a Raw Survivor Series, if you will, with the Wyatt Six and the Final Testament. Why can't we have more than one men's match, at War Games? Why can't we have more than one women's War Games match? Why? Why is it just 2? Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to pigeonhole ourselves like that? Why can't there be 2 of each and then have 1 or 2 singles matches? It's just, I get it, they're long matches, but it's just like, there's so many opportunities here this year that you have multiple storylines going on at once that would benefit from a War Games match. So I don't know. I think there's a lot that they could gain by doing more than just 1 for each, you know, women's roster and 1 more for the men's roster. I don't know. But what do you think?
I feel like the Final Testament and the Wyatt Six are probably going to end up in some, you know, lights out, kind of dark, kind of mysterious matchup type deal. Who knows? So I don't know if it's going to end. I mean, would it be cool to see it at War Games? Yeah, cool.
Mountain Dew Pitch Black? Is that what you're trying to refer to?
What horror movies coming out they're going to do a plug for?
Oh, God, don't ask that question. I feel like you're trying to will things into existence tonight that I just don't want to exist. That's one of them.
What if, right? Like, and this is something that I've thought about recently quite a bit, because, you know, I've thought about it also booking it in my wrestling game. Where what if, right, that you booked like you had the Undertaker as your world champion, right? And this is the point. I don't know, the mid to late 90s, or we're talking like the late 2000s.
Because I'm not booked.
Dan, oh man, your internet is garbage, Dan. I'm just gonna say that now. You're talking about what's booked, and then Dan got quiet and his internet went out. So it just, you know,
Because I'm not booked.
something about the Undertaker from 2000s. I don't know, but Let's see if Dan is able to come back from this one.
So I've always wanted to do a feud between the Undertaker and Michael Myers. I thought it would have been cool of like a movie tie-in and the Undertaker's involved, and just
Yeah,
especially with the video.
Instead, he had to be on fucking Scooby Doo.
Where a piece of us died.
Yeah,
Children, because we're just like, because we all like Scooby Doo, but it's just like, why is the Undertaker with fucking zoinks? Oh no, not a Hanna-Barbera property, Christ! Why can't he be like in The Exorcist or something like that? Or like, I'm surprised he never really got a chance to be in like any, even like B-rated. Even fucking Kane got something. See No Evil.
hey man, even The Rock was on fucking Star Trek at one point.
That's true. I think he was on one of the Poltergeist shows, if I'm not mistaken. It's like some
he
demon.
was.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, one of the USA shows that wasn't like Silk Stockings or Pacific Blue back in the day.
Or a show that's like in syndication and well past its prime.
La Femme Nikita.
Oh my god!
They were. That was the effing time we would watch Monday Night Raw wrestling. We'd always get those stupid promos for these USA shows that even as an adult I would never fucking watch. No.
You know what? I watched
ever watching.
I probably watched 2 episodes of La Femme Nikita because I honest to God, thought it was going to be like Barbed Wire, the movie. And boy, was I fucking wrong about that.
Weird Science on USA was pretty decent though, with Vanessa Angel as the fuck do you call them? The genie? Whatever the fuck the goddamn the girl that they created through the computer, which that
I don't know what she was called. Yeah, I don't remember.
I forgot what Lisa, I believe. Yes, that was the name that they ended up giving her.
Yeah.
But it was. But yeah, USA had some of the weirdest fucking shows back out of the day. God, Silk Stockings, La Femme Nikita. It's like, what am I watching? Like, what network is this? No wonder you got fucking wrestling on. God. And then you got TNT when they had WCW on, they were always flipping out. It was just like, oh, well, we're the distinguished area, because they produced, mostly because they produced Gettysburg. That was a big one. And then, of course, they did have some decent kind of productions that they did back then, but still at the same time, it wasn't. They always consider themselves like the higher being of the USA Network, because the USA Network, of course, is just like Silk Stockings, and then Up All Night. I still remember too when they had Miami Vice on its syndication back there and on the day. So.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
Even though Miami Vice is an adult, I've grown an appreciation for it.
Yeah, same, but USA had a lot of shows that, like I said, were past their prime too. And in some cases they still do, that they just run through in syndication nonstop.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God. I just can't at some points. But then, around that time period, like you said, they had their own, man, I can't even think of the word right now. Their own shows, I guess.
Well, they also had Duckman, though, too. That's another big one. You got to keep another feather in their cap. They kind of got to get for that.
I don't even have words for that.
What? What was wrong with Duckman? Nothing was wrong with Duckman. You gonna hate on Duckman now?
No, I'm not gonna hate on Duckman. Duckman actually was ahead of its time, but looking at it through a little bit higher of a spectrum today, I don't think it was good. Back then, though, it kind of worked for its time, but probably why it was only on TV for like 3 years, if that. Just fucking saying. I think it was 4, actually. I think it was about 4 years, but yeah.
about that.
It didn't have, I think, because I still say probably my favorite short-term animated series from when I was a kid, like young adult, was probably The Critic. That's probably number one.
See, I agree. Had you not specified young adult, I probably would have said Clone High also.
Oh, Clone High is definitely, I think, the more teenage, like going into the like,
like
almost
college, I feel
adulthood.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was. I remember paying $40 for that DVD set, but I was just like, I don't even care. Like,
You know what? I think it was $40 well spent. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie either. Like, it's just there were some DVD sets that I paid for back in the day that now you could probably get for less money, but then there were some that are pretty decent chunk of change, like those Family Guy box sets. Christ, you could get those now a dime for like $3 for $1. But they, I still remember back in the day when the first set came out, I couldn't find them for like 6 months.
Yeah. When you bring that
No
up,
one
I think
had
of the
them.
Simpsons ones too. Especially when they started doing like the heads, the DVD cases. I think that was kind of a big one too, honestly. But your internet is crapping out yet again, and I don't know how I feel about that anymore. I think we're getting ready to call this an episode at this point if Dan cannot come back at this point. I might have to text you, Dan, and see what your final pick is for this Bloodline versus OG Bloodline, because I cannot with your internet again at this point. We were supposed to actually come back because Dan keeps dropping off at this point. We're actually supposed to come back, and Dan was going to make his like one more point and then discuss feelings about the match, and then we got sidetracked by talking about old school TV shows yet again. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sign off for both of us unless Dan comes back in the next 60 seconds, so I guess I'll just keep talking for that long. We'll bring it back to Crown Jewel for a second. I'm excited for the show. It's going to be, I believe, a 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time start time. They're probably going to do about an hour pre-show, which is about the norm. I would, as I mentioned earlier, not be surprised if the women's tag team championship match, the Fatal 4-Way, is on the pre-show. Would not be surprised by that at all at this point, especially since there are 7 matches in total slated for the card. Beyond that, though, I think it's going to be a great card. I think it's going to be something that is really going to be worthwhile to watch. As Dan mentioned earlier, we're going to do a live post-show, a live react show on Facebook Live to review the show as a whole. Obviously, everybody is invited. We'll have a chat room, obviously, as well for that, since it will be on Facebook Live. We'll kind of talk a little bit more about that and the events of the show on the Facebook Live show. So check that out. Check this episode out. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, do all the things. Catch us where you catch your podcasts, whether that be Apple Podcasting, Spotify, or on YouTube as part of the Diamond Podcasting Productions YouTube channel. We are probably going to do a lot more on that channel at some point. I know we say that all the time. But I do have plans there. It's just kind of a question of getting things in order, getting things ready to go to be able to kind of finally bring those things, into fruition. But other than that, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Dan does not seem to have final thoughts because he's not back yet. So unfortunately, we can't get those final thoughts. The one thing I would say, just to kind of back to what we were saying, if you haven't checked out some of those shows that we just mentioned, we mentioned Duckman, Family Guy, Simpsons, we mentioned Clone High. You can probably find all those on a streaming platform, so maybe just Google it, see what you can find. A lot of those shows Family Guy is still running, Simpsons is still running. Clone High was a very great, underrated program. It was definitely ahead of its time. For those that want to know a little backdrop to that, Clone High was basically clones of JFK, of Lincoln, of Joan of Arc, of Cleopatra, of Gandhi, and they all end up at the same high school. And the high school was pretty much run by a doctor who was part of the cloning program. So it's actually pretty funny. So yeah, if you haven't seen it at all ever, just like I said, Google it, see where you can find it, take a look at it. It's a pretty funny show. Unfortunately, it was only really that one season. I think it did have a revival at some point. I'd have to look that up, but it was pretty fun too. And honestly, like I said, I'd go back and watch it. I know Dan mentioned he has the DVDs of it. Great show. We mentioned a lot of shows tonight: Simpsons, Family Guy, and we talked about Seinfeld a little bit earlier as well. It's kind of the way it goes here on PWW Talks, but I'm going to close this out there. So again, enjoy your Halloween, because we are recording this before Halloween. If you are listening or watching this after Halloween, we hope you had a great Halloween, obviously. Again, check us out live on Facebook on Saturday following Crown Jewel. I don't know if we're going to watch the pre-show or do just our pre-show. We haven't really discussed that yet, but stay tuned. Just tune into Facebook on the Pro Wrestling World Facebook page this weekend. So that way we'll keep you updated about when we will go live, obviously. And I hope everybody has a great weekend, a great day, a great night, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, and good night, whatever the saying is from The Truman Show. And I really hope that you'll catch us live this Saturday. If not, please enjoy Crown Jewel. I know Dan and I will. And catch you next time. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching Pro Wrestling World Talks.